What's good, YouTube, man? I'm back with another Monster Kody book reading, man. Part 4, man. Let's get into it, man. I ain't even gonna hold up. Let's get it. In the neighborhood, respect was forthcoming. In 1977, when I was 13, while robbing a man, I turned my head and was hit in the face. The man tried to run but tripped by Trey Ball, who held him for me. I stomped him for 20 minutes before leaving him unconscious in the alley. Later that night, I learned that the man had lapsed into a coma and was disfigured from my stomping. The police told bystanders that the person responsible for this was a monster. The name stuck, and I took that as a moniker over my birth name. As monster, however, I had to constantly be more vicious to live up to that name. Trey Ball was there for me every level, but Trey Ball, at least 4 years older than me, than I, still we could relate. In 1978, Trey Ball was captured for knocking a guy out in front of the police, who were questioning him about being robbed. I was left with Fly, Lep, Huck, and GC, who seemed to have lost their will to get busy when Trey Ball got locked up. So I went and searched for a new road dog or a best friend. I had been seeing the name Crazy D written on walls for some time and had a pretty good idea who he was. While walking up the alley one day towards GC house, I ran into Crazy D. We formally introduced ourselves and I asked him if he wanted to kick it with us. Although he was already from the set, he always kicked it with other people. A jovial cat of my age with happy eyes and a Hollywood smile, D became my road dog. We clicked right away, and the others too. I took him over to the white apartments where we had everybody and their parents claiming or sympathizing with our set. He loved it. From this point on, D and I were inseparable. The set was still relatively small and everyone knew each other. When speaking of small, I mean approximately 75 to 85 members. That's a small set. Today's is not usual for sets to be thousands deep, though there was various sizes and sections. We all met up meetings in parts, though this usually occurred when someone had been killed or some serious infraction had been committed. I continued to see and associate with GC, Lep, and others, but it wasn't the same without Trey Ball. He was the glue that bonded us. Besides that, I had escalated from little homie to homie and was putting in much work and dropping many bodies. But this nigga was crazy. That's all he talking about. In fact, some shied away from me because I took things they say too serious. But Crazy D overstood me and my thirst for reputation. The purpose of all game members for I had learned early that were 3 stages of reputations to go through before the title OG or original gangster would apply righteously. You must build up your reputation of your name, i.e. you as an individual. 2, you must build your name in association with your particular set. So when your name is spoken, your set is also spoken in the same breath for its sentiments. 3, you must establish yourself as a promoter of Crip or Blood, depending of course which side of the color bar you live. In 1978, I was 14 and still working on the first stage, but I had much ambition, vitality, and ruthlessness as to succeed as any corporal. This nigga ass talk like he know he ain't write this book. Executive planning a hostile takeover, a merger was out of question. Gang banging in the 70s was totally different than what's going on today. The gang community on both sides was relatively small, contained in certain areas and sustained by a few who kept the faith and belief. Although all gang members are in the military, all gang members are not combat soldiers. Those who stand out and all fear and respect them. This is true to this day. By now, of course, I had acquired my own weapon, a blue steel 44 Bulldog. It was small and fit into my pocket. I kept it on me at all times. One afternoon, my little brother and friend, both later would become fierce combat soldiers in their own right, were eating chili dogs at chili dogs at Arts Frank's. Wait, hold on, what? Oh yeah, Arts Frank. My brother companion left his chili dog wrapper on the outdoor table and it blew to the ground. Eric, who had been hired by Art as not just a cook, but a watchdog, was a hothead, already needed little provoking and to act like a complete fool. He told my brother to pick up the paper. When my brother explained that it was not his paper, Eric became angry and collared my brother, ripped his shirt, Angry and confused, my little brother went home and got my mother, older brother, and sister. I was out on a 10 speed patrolling the hood, of course, with my 44. Ironically, I was sitting on the corner of Florence and Normandy Avenue across from Arts when I saw my mother's car pull up. Everyone pulled to across from Arts when I mean, wait, what he said? I saw my mother's car when everyone pulled to a stop at the light. Here I was waiting for some action and it pulled up right up to me. Fate, I guess. My older brother signaled for me, so I followed them across the street to Arts. No one knew I was strapped. As I rolled up to my older brother was standing, they were arguing with Eric. Then my brother hit Eric in the face and they began to fight. I immediately dismounted and rushed up to Eric to get a hit on the flank, but he was swift and struck me in the air, knocking me back. All the while, my mother was frantically shouting for us to stop the fighting. Mad now and insulted, I drew my weapon and aimed and pulled the trigger. Click. Damn, I remember thinking I only got 3 bullets and I didn't know where they were in the chamber. The click stopped everything, and then everybody seemed to move at once. Eric ran towards the chili stand. My brother rushed to me. Before I could aim and fire, my brother and I were wrestling over the gun. Give me the gun, I'll shoot him, my brother exclaimed. No, I'll shoot him, I shouted back. In our battle for control, the gun was now pointed at my mother's chest. Click! My mother jumped, and momentarily I was paralyzed with fright. In this instant, I let go of the gun. My brother turned and fired it into the chili stand. Boom! The fofo sounded like a cannon. Click, another empty chamber. And Eric had by now retrieved his shotgun and was on his way out after us. Seeing him coming, both me and my brother turned and ran. We had barely rounded the corner when I heard the report of the first shotgun echo behind us. He had chased us through several yards, firing and tearing up people's property. He fired a total 8 times, but we escaped unscathed, except for our pride. My mother, sister, and little brother also escaped unharmed, and through great fear for us, for they did not know of our fate. After meeting back home, my mother wanted to send us all to my uncle's house in West Convia. We protested and stayed. The next morning, however, while I was standing at the bus stop waiting to go to school, Eric pulls up and mad dogs me. What you looking at, punk? He shouts from the car. You motherfucker. I responded through scared because he may have a gun and I couldn't get mine out the house since after yesterday's episode, Mom was searching me. And there were 3 young ladies standing there as well, so my pride and integrity were also involved. Not to mention my reputation. I had to stand my ground. Eric leapt from his car, circled from the front, walked up and hit me in the mouth. Bam! I faltered and became indecisive. But in that instance, I knew I needed an equalizer because he lifted his shirt to reveal the butt of a gun, a pistol, in his waistband. I turned and bolted, running at top speed, tears streaming from my face. I made my way back home, went right and got my gun, and trotted back to the bus stop. I was hoping the bus had come so that the 3 girls who saw him hit me could watch me kill him. Damn, you get back gang like that. All he did was punch you, dog. Our chili dog stand had been on Florence and Normandy since the 40s, and it was still in the original decor, open and primarily wood, with big windows facing onto Florence Avenue. The bus stop was across from Florence Normandy. Turning the corner on 71st at a steady trot, I was relieved to find the 3 girls still there, almost waiting for me. Passing them, I heard one of them say, "That boy crazy." And I was taking no chances this time. With 6 rounds ready, I stood in the street in front of Arts and Florence and Avenue. Commuted traffic was moderate, so I waited for the light to turn red. And once I saw I could safely break back across Florence into the backyard, I opened fire at Arts. Boom, boom, loud baritone echoed, cracked the morning stillness, and chunks of wood and shards of glass flew off Arts with magical quickness. Coronite filled my nostrils and revenge filled my heart. Boom, 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 boom. 6 shots. I emptied into the tiny dwelling, hoping to have killed Eric, who was just open for business. No such luck. I was captured the next day and given 60 days in juvenile hall. What the fuck? See, that's why they had so much problem back then. Like 60 days, you just blew at a stove. They should lock your ass up for like 3 years. But actually only served 19 due to overcrowd. Wow. Overcrowding. Shit. Once out, my reputation had gotten stronger than ever. Even Eric gave me my props, though begrudgingly. I would have killed your goof ass. The very next week after my release for the shooting, D, myself, and two members of the Rolling 60 Crips, later the 60s, and my set, the 8 Trays, would become mortal enemies. We're on our way to Rosecrans skating ring, which was where everybody who was somebody in the game world went to further promote their name set. Walking up Manchester Avenue westbound, we passed Pearl's Gym and Best Yet Hair Salon. Still within the established boundaries of my set, we came to a halt on the corner of Manchester, Gramercy Place, waiting for the light to change so we could tread on the Van Ness, where our bus was to depart. We heard two reports from what sounded like a 38. The sound came from the direction of Duke's Hamburger Stand, which stood on the southeast corner of Gramercy Place off Manchester Avenue. Duke's had recently become contested territory as the Inglewood family Bloods had begun to frequent it regularly in hopes of establishing it as their gang territory. Gang tends to function as states in regard to taking or colonizing territory. We looked toward the sound and we saw a flying track breaking out, dudes running right for us across the street. Track had what it appeared to be a big long 38 in his hand. Without stopping, Trace exclaimed, "Y'all bail, we just busted on some families. Y'all keep running." They kept running right on past us. That's crazy, bro. They just walked in some shit. They kept running right on past us. We hadn't done nothing, so we kept on our way. Not a minute later, a white Camaro streaked out of Duke's parking lot. There they go, we heard almost hysterical voice yell from the car. A second car, a huge orange Chrysler, came out the parking lot, bearing down on the bumper of the Camaro, which was now heading directly for us. We scattered. D and I darted into the adjacent alley behind Bessiette, and I don't know where Stone and Snoopy went. The chase was on. Hopping the fence into the alley, D and I hid ourselves in the dense shrubbery behind Pearl's Gym. The Camaro and Chrysler rolled up and down the alley several times as we laid in wait. The thoughts that ran through my head were hopes that the blood who had been shot would die. Insignificant that there were no Crip-on-Crip wars raging in these times. The worst enemies were Crips and blood sets. Today, of course, Crips are the #1 killer of Crips. In fact, Crips have killed more Crips in the last 12 years than Bloods have killed in the entire 22-year conflict. And two sets in the Crip and Blood communities have increased 20-fold, so that there is literally a gang on every street. Also, there are two huge conglomerate sets spanning hundreds of city blocks at a time, extending themselves into cities and counties. It's not all unusual for one of these huge conglomerate sets to be policed by five separate divisions of both LAPD and sheriff's departments. The East Coast Crips is one such set spanning from 1st Street in downtown Los Angeles to 225th Street in Harbor City. After an hour or so, we emerged from hiding and walked in search of Snoopy and Stone. "Man, them fools was mad, huh?" D spoke up. "If they would have caught us, Kody, we might have been through." D was very serious when I finally looked at him. Why he didn't bring the gat? Gat is general term for a gun. Anyways, because of the metal detector at Rosecrans. Ever since the family blew the door off, they've been really tight on security. Besides, all the homies would be there anyway. We found Snoopy and Stone standing on Western Avenue in Manchester. Well aware that the families were now out in mass looking for revenge, we devised a new strategy for getting to the skating ring. Just then, the orange Chrysler hit the corner on 85th Street, packed with occupants from the red side. We had two choices: run to the street and try to make it across Western, further into the interior of our hood and possible safety, or run to the surplus store behind us and hope they wouldn't follow in view of such a big civilian crowd. We quickly chose the second option. D broke first, with myself, Snoopy, and Stone heavy on his heels. Looking back, I immediately realized that we had made a terrible decision, for the Bloods were bailing out of a huge Chrysler like beans from a bag and chasing up straight into the store. I remember taking one last look back at the jumping the turnstile, and I knew that we would be trapped. The surplus kept a huge green trash can by the door, and it was full of axe handles of heavy oak. Damn, they finna get their ass killed. Each blood grabbed one as they entered. Damn, it's like a movie. Alarmed and not knowing if this was a gang raid on his store, the manager locked the door. Once the last blood came in, I knew we'll be beaten to death. Snoopy and Stone went one way, and D and I went another. I followed D up some stairs that led to the attic supply room and further entrapment. 4 Bloods followed us up, swearing to kill us for shooting their homeboy. One guy shouted about the victim being his brother. Damn, how the hell we got into this? Running up the small attic area, I thought seriously about death for the first time in my life. And for the slightest second, I wanted to turn and tell the Bloods, hey, all right, I quit. I'm only 13. Can we talk? The diplomacy was a foreign as Chinese to us, but it's a trip that when under pressure, clear thoughts seem to unbound. Stopping and crouching temporarily, having lost my tail among the rows and aisles of stock clothing, I heard D trying to explain that it wasn't us, that they had made a mistake. Hold it, man, it wasn't us, I heard D say in a cracking tone of sincerity and terror. You motherfucker lie. You a motherfucking lie. We saw you, blood. Crack. Ah, crack. All right, man. All right, crack. Ah. Terrified, I crouched and lowered my closed eyes, hoping that they wouldn't kill D, who was now on the ground and silent. But the beating continued. I felt completely helpless. Here go another one. Crack! Ah! Across the top of my head, a heavy axe handle came down. Swoosh! A miss. In an instant, I was on my feet. Crack! Ah! One to the back as I tried to get past another one in the semi-darkness. Wait. Fuck that. Wait. Fuck that wait shit, fool. You didn't wait when you shot Mike. Crack. Oh, ah. Blackness. When I came to, I was on my stomach, handcuffed. Next to me, D. Both of us was bloody and swollen. Craning my neck to the left, I saw Snoopy and Stone. They looked whipped and soiled. Which one of you did the shooting? A police officer asked somewhere behind me. Him, the one in the blue overalls and sweat jacket. That was me. What? I managed to say through a fog of loose teeth. Who, me? Yeah, you little crab-ass punk. Crab is the disrespectful term used by Bloods against Crip, the facing the enemy. For the first time, I noticed her, a girl. Looking up, I brought her into my focus. Never seen her in my life. You a lie, bitch, I blurted out, and abruptly was cut short by the police with the boot on my neck. Shut up, asshole. Are you sure this is the shooter, ma'am? Yes, officer. He was trying to talk to me. Then he found out who I was with and just pulled a gun and started shooting. Bitch, you lying. I don't know who you was. Ah! I was kicked in the side by the police officer who had already smashed my face to the ground. Once more, this dipshit. One more word, dipshit, and you'll get another ass whooping. I felt it best to remain silent. I was transported to 77th Street Division, booked for attempted murder. Damn. He ain't even do it. That's why y'all stay out the streets, y'all. Now I was hoping that he wouldn't die. I was the only one arrested. Man, I think that's it for chapter 4, man. Part 4, man. I think we're going to get back to it, man. Y'all let me know y'all like this.